Hi, I'm Dave, and welcome to the Fasting Journal. Today I'd like to talk about body composition. As many of you know, I went on a 44-day fast. During that time, I lost 53 pounds. That was 53 pounds of weight. The question, of course, when you talk about body composition is, well, how much fat did I lose? Also, did I lose lean body mass during my fast? That's a question that many people who are interested in fasting often ask. I'd also like to talk about how much weight I gained back 1 week after the fast. What was my weight? Also, what was the fat gain that I got, if any, and what were my lean body mass gains, again, if any? And of course, what calories did I eat that week that might have affected my weight gain? So let's start from the beginning. As those of you who have seen my earlier videos know, I started at 249 pounds, and at the end of that time, I reached 196 pounds. My goal at the time was to get below 200 pounds. That took about 6 weeks, 44 days to be exact. So during that time, I lost 53 pounds. Now, how much of that was body fat? So at the beginning of my fast, I had been using for body composition an Omron handheld body composition and monitor, and I'll include in the description a link to where you can find one of those units. And I'm going to do a separate video on precision, accuracy, whether you can trust them or not. But I do trust my Omron, and that point in time, it had measured me at 33.2% body fat. Okay, now that translates to 83 pounds. All right, now when I finished my fast, I had the opportunity to get a body composition measurement using a bod pod. And those of you who know, the bod pod is considered to be the gold standard in body composition. The bod pod measured me at that point at 26.2% of body fat. So that translated, based on my weight, that translated to 51 pounds, which means overall I lost 32 pounds of fat. Okay, so that's body fat. Now, how about lean body mass? So lean body mass is the mass that's left over after you subtract fat, and that would be 67%. That leads to 166 pounds. So on day zero, presumably, if you trust my Omron, I was 166 pounds of lean body mass. At the end of the fast, I was 74% lean body mass. That correlates to 145 pounds. So that means overall a 21-pound loss for lean body mass. So what I like to do is talk about these results. Basically, 32 pounds lost is pretty good. 32 pounds in 6 weeks, I think, is a pretty decent weight loss. However, I was a little disappointed when I noticed that I lost 21 pounds of lean body mass. I had observed, and my friends and family had also observed, that I had lost some muscle mass. So I knew I had lost some muscle mass, but I didn't think I had lost 20 pounds of muscle mass. And those of you who have written in comments have asked, well, did you exercise during your long-term fast? And the truth of the matter is I did during the first 2 weeks. But after that, the last 4 weeks, I really didn't have the energy. I was working and other life things got in the way, and I didn't have the opportunity to exercise. So in the future, I'd like to experiment with long-term fasting. And when I say long-term fasting, I mean more than a week with exercise, and see how that works out, what the difference might be, and how you could curtail, perhaps I could curtail loss of lean body mass, that's muscle. However, I'd like to point out that lean body mass is not all muscle, and I think as we look forward a little bit to what I lost, gained, I should say, in the next week in the week after my fast, I think we'll see that is the case. So the big question, what happened that first week after my fast? All right, so let's take it slow. Day 44, that's the last day of my fast, 196.2 pounds. The first day back, I was 196.7, so I gained a half a pound. Second day, I was 200, so I was up to 4 pounds. Day 3, 203, so I was up to 7 pounds, getting a little nervous at this point as well. Day 4, I was almost 8 pounds over. I just kept going up at this point. Um, Day 5, I hit 207.4 pounds. I was quite surprised because that was 11 pounds over what I was at my fasting weight. Day 6, I got a little bit of a reprieve. I was back down to 10 pounds. And then day 7, I was back up to 11.2 pounds. So 7 days after the fast of eating, I was 11 pounds up. And that's not so unusual. I've heard a number of fasters stating that they had gained 10 pounds after they had gone off their fast. I had hoped that this was water fasting weight gain, and that since I had done a micronutrient fast and kept myself hydrated, that I wouldn't put 10 pounds back on, but 10 pounds, 11 pounds within a margin of error. I did. I put 10 pounds back on. So the big question is, well, okay, you gained 10 pounds after that long fast. Is it a problem? Was it worth fasting? I think it was. I really wanted to get down from 250 down to 200. I was a little over 200 at this point, but I was within striking distance. I felt I was within striking distance of my goal weight, and that's exactly what I wanted to get out of my long-term fast. But asking that question, so what was the breakdown, is really what drove me to find some interesting answers. So first of all, let's look at percent body fat. We put that on the screen here, a new column to add to our chart. So you'll see day 44, it says 26.2% body fat. Now, unfortunately, I didn't measure my own body fat for the first few days. I'm going to pull out my handy dandy laser pointer here. So you see for day 44, I was 26.2. Well, I didn't actually measure my percent body fat. This is bod pod, by the way. The 26.2 is bod pod. I didn't actually measure my body fat composition using my Omron until about day 6. And I was surprised to find that it was 25.9, within the ballpark of the bod pod, which I thought was pretty good. As far as accuracy goes, I was pretty impressed. The next day I was 25.5, and I'm gonna trust these numbers. They're not bod pod numbers, but I'm gonna use them as data because I think that's important. So if we're looking at these values, so what does that mean? So fat weight so the amount of fat that you have is equal to the weight times the percent body fat. So for example, if I were to calculate my fat weight here, I would take 196.2 and multiply it by 0.262. Remember, a percentage is times 100, so you really have to take that off before you do the calculation. So what do we get? So it turns out that, again, when I ended the fast, I was 51.4 pounds of fat. And then at the end of day 7, I was only 52.9 pounds per fat. So that sort of tells me that I gained about 1.5 pounds of fat. Felt very good about that because that meant that I wasn't putting on a lot of fat. Now, whether that's real or not, or whether that's within the margin of error for my scale and what was happening that day, that's fine. 1.5 pounds of fat 1 week later, no problem for me. I thought that was pretty good. Now, what about lean body mass? Again, as I mentioned earlier, lean body mass is your weight minus your fat weight. So you just take the fat out, everything else is lean body mass. So what do we get there? So for lean body mass, again, 144.8. In some of my slides, you'll see that I round up to whole numbers just to make it easier, but this is the actual data here, 144.8. Now, if we go through the different days, 145, 147, 150, see I'm putting on lean body mass. 153, 152.8, 154.5. So that weight gain, the weight that I was putting back was actually lean body mass. 9.7 pounds. So 9.7, almost 10 of the 11 pounds were putting back lean body mass. That means to me that when I was fasting early on, that first week, you remember I lost like 14 pounds that first week, I was losing lean body mass. Lean body mass being food that I was digesting. Also your hydration level, the level of hydration that you have, that will also come into the lean body mass equation. At least I believe it does. All right, so I like data. A table is fine, but a graph is just worth so much more. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So, okay, let's look at this. So the bottom graph here, there will be another graph, I promise, is percent body fat. The numbers here on the left are pounds. So the graph goes from 25 to 55 pounds. Uh, Even though it's pounds, in here it's percentage, I should say. I sort of put it on the same scale as pounds. So you can see that my percent body fat is not really changing that much. And again, these first few numbers, remember, they're not measured numbers. They're numbers, well, based on the bod pod, but they're pretty consistent with the numbers that I measured on day 6 and 7. All right, so fat weight. You can see the fat weight is going up slightly here at this point in time, right? It's going up a little bit towards the end. So it's taking a few days for the fat weight to actually catch up. It goes up a little bit and then it comes back down. All right, now, what about total weight? You can see total weight here is going from 195 and it's going up a little bit above 205. So that's to 207. So you see over time, I'm slowly putting on lean body mass. Now, this isn't such a great range here. This is also pounds here. What I'm showing here in the bottom in yellow is lean body mass. And you can see that the increase in lean body mass kind of tracks pretty well the increase in total weight. And that, again, is what we saw in the previous table, that pretty much what I was putting on was lean body mass. All right, so what did I eat? What did I eat that week? Those of you who are interested in how I broke my fast, I did make a video on that, and you could watch that on YouTube. I'll put a link to it. I try to put a link to all of the videos in the series in the description. That first day, I started my fast at 8 o'clock at night, so I wanted to break my fast at 8 o'clock at night. So day 44 of my fast, I had 517 calories, very low carbs. They were complex carbs, basically from vegetables. It was a gardenia salad. I had protein and fat, steak, and cheese. One thing I didn't mention in my refeed video was that steak and cheese are high in phosphorus. And those of you who watched that video will know that I was very concerned with hypophosphatemia, which is basically your body shifting from ketosis to a sugar-based diet. After a long term of fast, your body isn't storing enough phosphate for you. So that's something that you should watch out for. And if you're doing a long-term fast, the recommendation, I understand, is 5 days, although I've done a 7-day fast with breaking my fast without any cautions, and I haven't had a problem. But if you're going over 5 to 7 days, you really should consider starting out very low carb, or at least taking some phosphorus supplements, and I've got some links to those. So enough of that. What was my goal? So my goal was to keep my caloric intake, my macro caloric intake, at the level of what the bod pod had told me my resting metabolism was. So the metabolism that I would have based on my basal metabolism and then just a sedentary lifestyle. And that was around 2,000 calories per day. I think it was 1775 was my my basal metabolism rate, and my sedentary rate was around 2,000. So I decided, well, why don't I go up to 20 through 50? I wanted to sort of feed myself that week and not starve myself. I didn't want to go from fasting mode to starvation mode. I wanted to go from fasting mode to feeding mode. And also for these first 3 days, I did eat 3 meals a day, pretty much morning, noon, and evening. But starting day 4, I was intermittent fasting, and I've been intermittent fasting since then. This is just I just love it. Well, I'm going to make a separate video on it, but for the most part, I've been doing at least a 16 and 8 intermittent fast every day. And I just love it. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love intermittent fasting. So basically, for these first days, I wanted to ramp up. I wanted to ramp up my calories, and I wanted to ramp up my carbs. So the first day, I didn't really ramp up my carbs too much, but I did double my calories. Second day, doubled my calories again, doubled my carb intake. My goal was to keep carbohydrates low. I tend not to do so well with carbohydrates for my digestive system, but also I wanted to keep my carbs low because I tend to put on weight when I eat a lot of carbohydrate. Day 3, I stayed around the same amount of calories. For some reason, I was just a little bit down that day. I was shooting for somewhere between 2,000 and 2,350, but my carbs went up. My carbs went up to where I wanted them to be. It was 114 grams that day. I try to keep them, when I say less than or equal to 100 grams, I really mean net grams. So I kind of subtract fiber. I have an app on my phone that I use that subtracts fiber. So I think that day I was 114 overall grams, but I was basically, I think I was 100 grams net. 89 the next day, but again, ramping up again, a little bit more in my calories. Now, for day 5 through 7, I got a new iPhone and I accidentally overwrote my data. I had taken a photo shoot of the first 4 days, thank goodness, but I lost all my other data. So for these last 3 days, unfortunately, I can't report any data, but I did stay within this goal range. So this is the caloric intake that I had that first week. Kind of interesting because I didn't really bulk up too much on calories, but I did gain, that 10 pounds, which makes sense. That's why it's primarily lean body mass, which means it's primarily the food that I was eating, and my body just getting back to normal mode. Normal mode. So the question I wanted to ask, of course, was there any correlation between what I ate and the weight that I gained? The notion is, well, was my body just coming off of fasting and is this normal? Will other people who come off of fast also experience a 10-pound weight gain, or was it something I ate? Was I eating the wrong calories? So what I decided to do was, of course, to plot each day, the weight gain each day against the calories that I consumed. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time for this graph. It's a little bit in-depth. We'll walk through it slowly so that you can see, and you can also watch this video again to get a better idea. But what I'm plotting here in blue is my weight gain per day. So you'll see day 0 is that day 44. Day 1 is the first day that I'm eating food, and remember that's what the day that I gained a half a pound. So there you see that's the half a pound weight gain. Here day 2, you see I gained about 3.5 pounds. Remember after 2 days I had gained 4 pounds, so that makes sense. So this is the daily data. So day 3 I gained 3 pounds. Day 4 I gained less than a pound. Day 5 I was back up to 3 pounds. Day 6 I lost weight. And day 7, I gained about a pound. So you can see I'm equalizing out here. Now, in this gold, these are the calories that I consumed. So here on the left side is my weight in pounds. Again, I apologize for our international viewers. I didn't put kilograms on there, although I did try to put kilograms on a lot of the earlier slides. Here on the right-hand side are the calories that I consumed. Now, I want you to be careful. On this side, this is 0. That relates to the weight. But on this side, 0 is down here. So as you see here at day 0, I had about 515 calories, and you can see that's just a little bit over 500. So this is my caloric intake going up, kind of reaching a maximum and then steadying off. Again, remember, this isn't actual data. This is just within my goal. It probably fluctuates in this range. The point I want to show you here is that my weight is really going up in the beginning when my calories aren't quite so high. Yet when my calories are consistently high, my weight is fluctuating. And I don't want to read too much into this. It's only a week's worth of data, but what it means to me is that this is really my body taking in food. I wasn't really quite so sure when I started how food would affect my percent body fat, but I'm pretty convinced after this that your percent body fat doesn't include the food that you eat, that the food that you eat is going to be in lean body mass. I'm sure someone who's more experienced than me would have known that right off the bat. I had to actually do the experiment. That's what I believe is happening. And you can see that I'm sort of leveling off here. So in summary, total weight gain after one week follow-up was about 11 pounds, 5 kilograms. Now my percent body fat change was good, down from 26 to 25.5. Again, if you trust an Omron, which of course I do trust my Omron. And for me, I also knew I wasn't putting on fat when I gained that 10 pounds because I can really tell based on my belt buckle, where my belt buckle is, how tight it is or not tight it is. And I didn't have a change in my belt buckle. waste during that time. So for me, I felt pretty confident that the weight gain was lean body mass. I felt a little better once I started measuring my lean body mass and found that it hadn't gone up. But I kind of had a feeling before then that it wasn't. So 1.5 pounds of fat. Was it real? Is it within error? Doesn't matter. It's not a lot for me to worry about. Most of the weight gain was, like I said, a lean body mass. So the big point is that I got back half of the lean body mass that I lost. And for those of you who are going to ask, yes, I was hitting the gym pretty hard that week. I had a ton of energy, just like everybody has the first week back, and I went to the gym at least 3 times that week, but I don't think I put on 10 pounds of muscle. I think the lean body mass was probably my body rehydrating a little bit because I was putting in food, and also the food that I was eating. So again, remember, lean body mass is food, it's water, and it's muscle. Don't assume just because you're losing lean body mass that you're losing all muscle. It's something to watch. I truly believe it's something to watch, and it's something I'm going to watch in the future. But lean body mass is more than just muscle. Well, thanks again for watching. This is the Fasting Journal. My name is Dave. I hope that what I did will help you. I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you what will happen when you try these things, but I can tell you what happened to me. So thanks again, and thanks for watching.